Joining me now is House Majority Whip, Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. Whip Clyburn, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday Show.
Thank you very much for having me back.
So now, right now, when people hear the words voting rights, it has almost become synonymous with, okay, so what you're going to do about the filibuster. I want you to repeat for everyone your view on the filibuster as it relates to voting rights.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to respond to this again. We have made an exception to the filibuster, a carve-out, if you will, for budgeting matters. We decided that no one person on any group of people will be allowed to threaten the full faith and credit of the United States of America. So in order to maintain the continuity, we have allowed a carve-out for the filibuster. That, I think, should apply to constitutional issues as well. No one person, no one group should be allowed to jeopardize the constitutional rights of any American. And so to allow a person to sit downtown in the spa and phone in an objection, not ever show up at the building or on the floor, that is just not right. And so I believe that when you use the term reconciliation, it's a much better word to apply to the Constitution than it is to apply to the budget. So I think reconciliation should apply to constitutional issues as well. And then the filibuster can still be there for legislative issues. And I have been saying, if you want to debate how high a wall should be or if there should be a wall, those are legislative issues that's got nothing to do with the Constitution. And so if the filibuster apply there, so may it be.
Let me make sure I'm hearing you correctly here, Whip Clyburn, because you used the word reconciliation. And in this town, in Washington, reconciliation has to do with things related to the budget. So how are voting rights applicable to reconciliation as it is used here in Washington in the building behind me?
The constitutional issues. Reconciliation, we talk about that all the time when we talked about South Africa and when we were talking about free Mandela. We came after that with a lot of reconciliation laws. And when we came out of Reconstruction, a lot of people don't realize Reconstruction only lasts 12 years. And we started doing reconciliation issues to reconcile what was happening or not happening before. So we still have these problems. We know that voting rights have been a big, big issue. And it was highlighted back in 1965 when John Lewis and others walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And we reconciled those by passing the Voting Rights Act of 1965 in August of that year.
Right.
And so the same kinds of issues are here today. And we can reconcile these things by relating them to the Constitution. The 15th Amendment of the United States Constitution gave the former slaves the right to vote. And that was done, by the way, by a single party vote. And so, as I've said to my friend, Senator Manchin, bipartisanship is good, but it's not required to make a good, solid law. It was not required for the 15th Amendment, and it won't be required for other things to be used to reconcile with the 15th Amendment.
Okay, so now I get it. You're reconciliation from a moral perspective as opposed to the legislative perspective here in Washington. Let me get your reaction to something that is in Dan Baltz's column in the Washington Post today. He has a quote in there from Rahm Emanuel, former chief of staff in the Obama administration, where he is saying to Democrats, think of the voting rights effort as a multi-cycle effort, and to also think about other ways of securing voting rights, i.e. through the ballot initiative process in the various states. What do you think about that?
It's a part of the smorgasbord. That's not to be used instead of, that's to be used in addition to. And that's why I've said on the filibuster, I'm against the filibuster. I'm like, I think it's a relic of the Jim Crow era and should be gotten rid of. However, if you can't do it in one fell swoop, do it as we did the Civil Rights Act. We got the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964, and we didn't get the voting rights until 65. We didn't get a fair housing law until 68. And none of it will apply to the public sector as it relates to employment until 1972. So for an 8-year period, we did that. So I would hope that's what Rahm Emanuel was talking about. I certainly think of it that way. I thought the same thing we were passing the Affordable Care Act, and I said so at the time. So this that's not a substitute for, that should be in addition to.
The key word in all of that you just said is perseverance, no matter how long it takes. Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, House Majority Whip, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show.